Thanks so much for joining us. Ready to go back to school? Got the Trapper Keeper, got the pencils, got the erasers, and of course the cell phone kids that you're going to be bringing to school. Whoops, not so fast. Let's talk about what's up with that and a number of important issues to do with public education in Massachusetts with the man in charge, the State Secretary of Education, Pat Tutwiler. Mr. Secretary, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. Listen, you forgot something.
What's that?
Optimism and joy as part of that back-to-school orientation. It's important.
Optimism and joy. I'll go look those up when I get back to my desk later, okay?
Fair enough.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So, first of all, let's start out in Washington, where House Republicans have approved billions of dollars in cuts in federal spending for student aid over the next decade, eliminating some loan programs, limiting others, tightening Pell Grant requirements, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the Senate is pushing back. It's unresolved. If it does pass, even in partial form, what does that mean for current and future Massachusetts public college students?
Well, I don't want to guess. I will tell you that in Massachusetts, over the past 3 years under Governor Healey's leadership, we have worked really hard to eliminate financial barriers to higher education. We've got free community college. We've made four-year institutions more accessible through the Mass Grant Plus expansion. And so we're hopeful that the Senate does its thing, that this stops, because we want to continue to ensure that people have access to higher education to further their dreams. This is part of the launch pad to people realizing their dreams.
There's the prospect of kids not being able to go, right? I mean, if loan programs, they're diluting relief, the pace at which you have to repay and so forth. We're already struggling, and many schools are, to get by. What's the, I know you like to stay optimistic, okay? But give us the downside here. What's at stake?
Optimistic, but also realistic.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what's at stake is the ability to access, again, the springboard to people's dreams.
Yeah.
We should really be making moves to make college and higher education more accessible in responsible ways, much as we've done here in Massachusetts, which we believe is a nation-leading model. We're hopeful that the federal government continues to be a partner with us in that effort.
All right, well, I joked earlier about the cell phone situation here. Many school systems already take the phones away from the kids during the day. Many do not. There's a bill that's passed the state Senate that would require public schools to basically take the phones away all day during when the kids are on school grounds. Now it goes to the House. Do you foresee any problem there? How much damage does this do?
I don't know about damage. I'll tell you why we think this is important, and Governor Healey has articulated this. Cell phones have become challenging in schools. It's more than just a distraction. It is an issue around depression. There's issues related to anxiety that are tied back to access to the cell phones. If you talk to any teacher, they'll tell you that the power struggles around cell phones are real. We're in a pandemic recovery context right now. We're working to get students back to, not just back to where they were in 2019, but beyond that. And cell phones are part of the issue. And so a number of districts, as you've named, have already moved in that direction. I've seen firsthand what happens in a large school, Brockton High School, that allowed them in 1 year and did not in the next. Whole different place. We've got to take this seriously if we're really serious about getting back to serving students appropriately.
Well, we've got to take our break, but one of the main points of contention, of pushback on these bans, cell phone bans, has been that, well, what if a parent needs to reach a student in the case of an emergency? Are you aware of a single instance in which a student could not be contacted in an emergency situation because of a cell phone ban?
This September will mark my 26th year as an educator, and in all of those years and in all of the years that I attended as a student myself, I was never aware of a scenario where a parent or caregiver could not get in touch with a child for an appointment or because of some sort of emergency at home. There are systems in place that can facilitate that. So I would just lift that up is the reality.
And Mr. Secretary, as you know, for years, nearly half of the state school districts use trendy ed school reading curriculum in elementary schools that heavily downplayed the long-standing, highly effective practice of using phonics to teach kids how to read. Instead, they were urged to look at pictures and basically guess what word they illustrate, the so-called whole language approach. Now, you've been a strong advocate of returning to phonics instruction to counter the terrible decline in literacy rates among many school kids. You've been offering grants to districts that adopt this curriculum. How much resistance is there?
Not much. Actually, a lot of enthusiasm about it. And I will tell you that this strategy, in part, is designed to transform early literacy instruction in Massachusetts. But we have to make sure that we're also embracing a big piece of this, which is early education. How many opportunities, or what are the opportunities that families have to engage their children in early education experiences? Over the past 2 years, under Governor Healy's leadership, we've expanded seats to the tune of 17,800 new seats over the past 2.5 years. There's a clear vision around universal pre-K, starting with the gateway communities. We've reached 17 of the 26, and so the strategy is strong.
But you can't force a district to adopt the phonics curriculum, the science of reading.
Right now, we cannot.
There's a bill pending that would allow you to, right?
There's a bill pending, and we'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
And
you support that, correct?
We'll take a look at it when it reaches the governor's desk. But what we're doing right now is winning hearts and minds, and I would say that is equally important. We've got districts lining up to access the grants that support shifting to this evidence-based early literacy strategy, and we're supporting them, and we're on the move.
Well, I was sent an email that documented a meeting last December between you and some other education officials and local leaders of the opposition to the return to phonics, in which they lobbied basically for you to back off this reform. Are you and the governor going to stand firm on this?
I would say the proof is in the pudding, as my former basketball coach used to say. Over the past 2 weeks, we have trained 600 teachers in Massachusetts on the evidence-based strategies. You probably just heard that we announced a grant for 30 districts, $9.3 million, supporting them moving in the direction of evidence-based early literacy. We also announced 272 elementary schools are going to take advantage of our high-dosage tutoring strategy. It's a $25 million strategy. So I would say, no, we're not backing off. We're actually going deeper. And I think there's a lot of support and energy around this effort.
Have you ever had a teacher, a rank-and-file teacher, as opposed to a teachers' union official, argue with you about this?
No.
That's kind of telling, isn't it?
As far as?
As far as what real teachers care about versus what the union leadership sometimes does.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have the union leadership here to represent their perspective on it, but I would say that there's a lot of enthusiasm for this strategy. We were just in East Hampton earlier this week celebrating the launch of the $9.3 million in grants. They're excited, and they talked just in really heartening ways around what this is going to mean for their instruction and for their students.
Got less than a minute here, but I want to ask you, we had a number of illegal teacher strikes. Any teacher strike is illegal under state law. Last school year was very controversial and disruptive. Are we in for more this year?
I'd be guessing, and I don't want to do that. I'm hopeful that the bargaining process is robust between communities and their units, and that they get to deals so that we avoid these scenarios where students are out of school. Students need to be in school, and we've seen the pain and the disruption that it causes when they're not.
And parents don't like it, do they?
As a parent of children who attend the public schools, I would say no, they don't. And I would also say that we obviously support teachers being paid appropriately, having the benefits, the working conditions that they deserve. We just don't think that strikes are appropriate for children.
Thank you for being here.
It's always a pleasure. Have me back.
Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Pat Tutwiler, Massachusetts Secretary of Education.